Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first webinar of the Capital Collab's Credential Month. My name is Lindsay Johnson, and I'm the Manager of Programs and Insights on the Collab team. And today's webinar is a snapshot of the regional job market for tech and tech-adjacent roles. I'm going to give you a quick overview of Greater Washington Partnership and the Capital Collab, so you know who's behind Credential Month, and also walk through some types of industries, jobs, and skills that you can expect to see in your job search. I'll also just wrap up by sharing more about the Digital Tech Credential in case it's something that's new to you, which is a program between the Collab, our employers, and your universities. So let's go ahead and get started. Greater Washington Partnership is a civic alliance of CEOs from Baltimore to Richmond, which we call the Capital Region, working to make this region the best place for anyone, no matter their zip code, to live, work, build a business, get educated, and thrive overall. And these major employers in the region all originally started working together for DC's 2024 Olympic bid and stayed committed to that work in the years that followed, so they could leverage their collective impact toward the public good. And this includes things like workforce, which is what I'm going to talk about today, and also transportation, things that aren't limited to just one jurisdictional boundary. As you think about your job search, as we go through the slides today and throughout the month and afterward, we encourage you to think about this region at a really broad scale because our labor markets are really intertwined. People cross boundaries all the time for go to work, or at least they did pre-pandemic, and we expect them to in the future as well. And companies often have offices across multiple jurisdiction, county, state boundaries. So there's really a lot of opportunities to sit in one place and work in another. Now, the team that I work on, the Capital Collab and the host of Credential Month, is the Talent and Skills Division of Greater Washington Partnership. And through the Collab, employers and educators in the Capital Region come together to create the most diverse digital tech workforce in the country. And we do this by making sure employers in our region are all on the same page about the entry-level skills that they need most, and then communicating those to educators in a really clear way so it's easy for them to build into the curriculum that you all as students are already taking. It's a way to prepare more students at more academic institutions and from more backgrounds with in-demand digital tech skills. And the slide here shows our current university and business partners. We have 17 employers and 19 university partners. Our goals ultimately are to engage at least 45,000 students and adult learners in digital tech pathways by 2025, and also ensure that at least 50% of those learners are coming from underrepresented populations. Tech is notorious for really lacking diversity, and we really want to change that in this region and make this economy more inclusive as we continue working to grow it. And there's so much demand for digital skill sets. Our programming aims to ensure that we're building more opportunities for those in-demand tech roles into those roles, diversifying the field, and building a real community of employers, educators, and students in the process. Collab employers prioritized this focus on digital tech because digital skill sets, again, are in huge demand in the Capital Region. You're going to hear me talk today a lot about tech and tech adjacent, and to just put some definitions to that to help you understand a little bit more and frame the rest of the slides here. When I talk about tech or digital tech, I'm really talking about occupations that develop technology, whereas tech adjacent, folks in these roles might not be the ones creating new technology, but they do need to use it extensively as part of their work and require digital skills to do so. And when we look at those two together, tech and tech adjacent, by 2025, we anticipate some pretty big supply gaps. About 17,000 for digital tech roles, so those are going to be your more traditional STEM roles, and then about 42,000 for tech adjacent roles. This shows that, of course, there's a huge need for tech and STEM in the traditional sense, but there's an even bigger need and opportunity for roles that use tech extensively. And I think a lot of you, as we go through these slides today, will probably resonate with some of the conversation about tech adjacent roles, given what you're studying in school and what you're hoping to pursue in your first job. Some STEM students might go into tech, but there will be lots of opportunities for liberal arts and sciences students to go into these roles as well. Looking across the country and putting tech opportunities into perspective is really helpful because at least I know when I moved to this region, I didn't realize that it was a tech hub, and it turns out it is. The capital region from Baltimore to Richmond is one of the largest tech employment hubs in the country. It's actually the second largest when you look at other regions across the area. And it's important to note too that digital tech isn't just IT in the traditional sense. The way we think about it, it ultimately comes down to skill sets and the jobs where those skill sets are in demand. In the slides that follow, I'm going to break down these digital tech and tech adjacent opportunities a bit further, starting with broad industry sectors so you can get familiar with what to expect economy wide, but then also delving into the jobs and specific skills to expect. All the data I show are going to reflect the whole capital region taken together, so Baltimore, Richmond, and DC geographic areas combined. So first, taking a look at industries. Digital skill sets span a wide array of industries. And here are the top 5 industries that posted job ads for entry-level digital tech and tech adjacent workers in the capital region last year. You can see that there's a pretty similar breakdown when we look at tech and tech adjacent together, and then separately a little bit of variance. The thing that they have in common by and large is that professional, scientific, and technical services as an industry is the predominant hiring force, at least it was in 2020. And that industry, I know it can be a bit of a vague name, but what that really represents are your typical office consulting jobs. Consulting in this region is pretty big, and you see that reflected here in the data. But manufacturing, finance and insurance, public administration, again, across tech and tech adjacent roles are really popular ones that you see job ads posted for. And then there's a little bit of variation going more into information for digital tech, and then healthcare and social assistance, which is going to include your hospital systems, which are pretty big employers in the region, especially when it comes to tech and tech adjacent jobs. Sticking with those industries from the last slide, here we see the employers who advertised the most entry-level tech and tech adjacent jobs by industry in 2020. So as you're exploring internships and entry-level jobs, or if you're just trying to learn more about who's shaping our regional economy, I think this is a really good place to start. Various employers on here are also Collab member companies as well. I suggest perusing their career pages on their websites to see their specific job titles and hiring requirements as a start. And many of these will also include profiles of employees, sometimes entry-level employees that are relatable and pretty fresh out of college as well. But again, looking at the top industries that hire digital tech roles and tech adjacent roles in 2020, you can just see the vast spread of companies that are represented, from government to defense contractors to finance and to healthcare. There are a lot of them. And though these are the largest employers in the region, because these are the ones who posted the most jobs, it's always important to remember that there are a ton of small and medium-sized businesses from Baltimore to Richmond who are hiring a lot of the same skill sets as the employers you see here. And while these are a good place to start in terms of just easily grabbing some job ads and getting a sense of what's available, make sure to look out for small and medium-sized businesses hiring for entry-level roles as well. Here we have popular entry-level job titles based on 2020 job ads, again, by industry. Industry changes all the time, so it's good to note that some job ads you see here weren't popular 5 years ago. I think data scientist is a really good example of that. We've seen that really skyrocket in recent years. And at the same time, some jobs that we may not have traditionally associated with tech are becoming more disrupted by technological innovation. And in that sense, I think HR is a really good example. If you look under public administration and healthcare and social services industries, HR jobs are really high demand. And you may not have thought about those as a tech job, but when you think about, for instance, the fact that someone in an HR role might have to understand people analytics and work through human resources information systems, you can see how tech adjacent starts to really surface as an in-demand skill set. But what I like about this is that you can see how some tech and tech adjacent roles are a little more specific to some industries, but others are really widespread across industries. So as you're thinking about your next role out of college or maybe an internship, it's great to think about it in terms of the job that you're considering, because if you look at it at that job level, there are actually a lot of opportunities across different industries, and it might not be stuck to one. So it really broadens the array of companies that you might want to consider looking at for your next role. Next, I want to zoom in on the jobs data a bit more, and I'll split this up by tech and tech adjacent. Just a side note, the column that you see here on the left, the occupation title, those represent government assigned occupation categories, and they exist for the purposes of collecting and then sharing out public data, which is why they look a little bit different than the job titles you saw on the last two slides. Just kind of a wonky side note, but as you're researching public sources, you might find that there are these clunky job or occupation titles, and they don't always reflect the latest job titles that you see out on the market. And again, that's just because it's easier to collect and share public data that way. You can expect in your search to see more trending topics and job titles like data science, data analytics, and machine learning, things like that. But getting back to the main point of the slide, looking across digital tech job ads in 2020, Capital Region employers advertised for software developers the most at 26,564 entry-level job ads for software developers. And that's followed by miscellaneous computer occupations and also information security analysts in third at 8,581. Those are your cybersecurity professionals. So we see those a lot in our region. The starred occupations are the ones that expect the highest projected growth between 2016 and 2026. So again, information security analysts in particular are expected to grow the most among entry-level digital tech job roles, 28% by 2026, which is a pretty big jump. And if you look at the third column in, that captures the change in employment over the year from 2018 to 2019. And there's always a little bit of a lag in the data, which is why it's not the most recent years, but they're still recent enough to really see where there's been some substantial growth. So again, information security analysts are on that list at 16% growth between 2018 and 2019. And also web developer job ads grew quite a bit at 17% in that same time. Some other entry-level digital tech jobs to look out for over the next 5 years are going to be software developers at 24.8% projected growth. And then data management type roles, which are really emerging, such as computer information research scientists and also database administrators. Now looking across the entry-level tech adjacent job ads, Capital Region employers advertise for human resource specialists the most at 6,195 job ads in 2020. That was followed by operations research analysts at just over 4,000, and then market research analysts and marketing specialists at 3,233. Once again, I've starred the occupations here that we expect to see the most projected growth through 2026 for. And we have the column again capturing the percent change in growth from 2018 through 2019. Of the list of tech adjacent jobs, business operations specialist job ads grew the most from 2018 to 2019 at 21%. And then statisticians in particular are expected to grow the most among digital tech, among these roles, 24.8% between 2016 and 2026. This was followed by operations research analysts and then market research analysts and marketing specialists at 21.6% and 18.8% respectively. I think this really speaks to the importance of having a command of data analytics as we see these advertised in a lot of tech and tech adjacent roles. Again, human resources, operations, marketing, not fields you would traditionally, at least I wouldn't have traditionally associated them with tech, but these tech skills are becoming really important in more diverse fields as time goes on. Now, I already mentioned the career section of employer websites as a good starting point to understand these jobs even further, but I just wanted to call out a public resource that can be really helpful if you really want to get into the weeds when looking at the current workforce and understanding more about the types of jobs that exist. It's called ONET. It's the letter O and then the star symbol, NET. And you can find more information on occupations, their outlook, the competencies required for these roles, education required, salary, and more. So Google that when you have a second. And it's also just a good resource if you want to take a quiz on the field that might be the right fit for you. If you're going into a little blind and not really sure where you want to start, can be a good starting point to further your research. Now, which skills are in demand for these entry-level tech and tech adjacent roles? Of course, specific skills are going to depend on the job at hand, but some skills are relatively common across all entry-level tech and tech adjacent roles. And I tried to capture those here, breaking them down into more technical hard skills versus broader professional skills that are a good foundation going into any job. We encourage that you seek out courses that provide you with technical skills, but also engagement opportunities to build those professional skills through projects, clubs, volunteering, internships, etc. A few resources that employer partners have shared with us that I wanted to just raise here in case you're interested. We've heard a lot of employers talk about portfolio development on GitHub, and then also building applied experience through freelance opportunities on websites like Fiverr, Fiverr. And the government also provides some opportunities to apply those skills and volunteer for work through the Virtual Student Federal Service. So just some other things you might want to check out if you're looking for opportunities outside the classroom and outside of a typical internship to build those professional skills. It's also important to articulate the skills that you've learned on your resumes, LinkedIn profiles, etc. And if you stay tuned for other events throughout Credential Month, we'll be delving into tips for that a bit more. So now, a lot of you might be familiar with Collab already, and it might also be new to some of you. And I'm sharing this information because I'm sure a lot of you have questions about how you can best prepare for some of the roles, industries, skills that we've seen on the slides here today. And there are lots of ways to pursue digital tech education in your school. We encourage you to keep getting involved at your universities and see everything that's available to you, whether that be different majors, different clubs, etc. And as you're doing that, you might find that Collab's Digital Tech Credential is a good option for you. And in partnership with your universities, we're here to support you with our programming through the Digital Tech Credential program. For those who haven't heard of it before, the Digital Tech Credential is a pathway of courses selected by your university that align to the exact digital knowledge, skills, and abilities that employers in the Capital Region have given the stamp of approval. In fact, dozens of employers from Baltimore down to Richmond of all sizes, small, medium, and large, got together over the last few years to write out in painstaking detail these skills that they need most, so they can make sure that employers can make sure that your universities had access to the most recent industry trends that were impacting the regional economy and entry-level hiring requirements. And it's those in-demand skill sets that are built into your digital tech credential curriculum. College is obviously expensive. No one wants to drop any more money on education than they absolutely need to, and our employers understand that. So they really wanted to prioritize making these digital skill sets accessible by embedding them into your curriculum that you're already pursuing. And in fact, what we really like about the credential is that it sets you up to pursue whatever major you want to pursue, while also building a strong foundation in digital skills, no matter what you're studying. With that in mind, there are two varieties of digital tech credential that I wanted to share. For those interested in more of those tech adjacent roles, so roles that might not be creating technology, but have to use it pretty frequently to be successful on the job, the generalist credential might be for you. And this is the credential that's most widely available in universities across the Capital Region currently. For those of you who see yourselves in a liberal arts and sciences major, if you haven't selected a major yet, or maybe you're already in one, and also see yourself in a role that may not have traditionally been tech, but kind of relies on tech skills now, check out the generalist credential. It's a great way to build a really well-rounded background for yourself. And then for those who see themselves in a more traditional STEM field, consider pursuing one of our specialist credentials. This is especially relevant for STEM majors because you're probably already taking a lot of relevant classes, and we're building out specialist credentials in cybersecurity, machine learning, and data analytics. Now, not every university that's a Collab partner currently offers these, so I encourage you to check with your academic advisor to see what's available if you're interested in any of these three. They do vary by university. And by signing up for the Collab community and the digital tech credential at your university, you will also have more access to webinars like this, events throughout Credential Month, and that includes stuff like small group conversations with area employers and notifications about internships. It's also a great way to just build a foundation in digital skills, again, no matter what your major is. Upon completion of the digital tech credential, your university will issue you a digital badge. I talked a lot about how employers signal to us what they're looking for through job ads, the types of jobs that they're hiring for, the skills that are required for each of those jobs. And now via the digital tech credential curriculum at your school, you can signal back to employers all of the things that you've learned and practiced more easily. You learn a lot of skills in school, and it's hard to capture all of those on a resume, but the digital badge that you receive through completing this credential curriculum will allow you to do so in a way that employers can click and validate pretty easily. You can post it to your social media, you can paste it on your resume, and many other options. So again, it's a great way to signal back to employers, and you'll have to just claim the badge once your university issues it to you. I mentioned when I first started, this webinar today is the kickoff in a lineup of programming throughout April, where you can learn more about maximizing your major through the digital tech credential and get more insider tips directly from employers about what they're looking for as they think about their entry-level tech and tech-adjacent hiring. The events here include more intimate conversations with employers and academic leaders. It's a great opportunity to get to know them and also others in the community and other universities. Check out the link here to register, and you can also join the Collab community through that link as well. You may have heard about this event through one of your university's Collab ambassadors, and you can expect to hear more from them. So just keep a lookout and follow us on social media to continue learning. And of course, we are here the Collab team is here as a resource for any questions you have about how to really tap into the digital tech ecosystem in the Capital Region. I hope this was helpful for everyone. I want to open it up to Q&A if there are any, just because you might have some questions about the specific data you saw, or maybe I didn't cover something, so happy to help where I can.
Lindsay, we had one great question come in already. The question is, which technical certifications are most popular in the greater Washington area? And I'll encourage anybody on the line to drop your questions into the Q&A chat. But Lindsay, can you address this first question?
Yeah, happy to. And I didn't include it on a slide here, so I don't have the exact numbers handy, but I can share some really popular ones that we see advertised. The first, by and large, above absolutely everything, is having a security clearance. And now that's not something you can pursue until you're on the job because an employer has to sponsor it. However, there are a lot of employers who will line their interns up for the security clearance approval process. It's pretty long to get through. It's something pretty unique to our region, especially given the amount of government jobs and then defense contractors who work closely with government on those jobs. So security clearances are huge. And there are, what it really comes down to prepare for those is just making good choices while you're in school and thinking about how choices you make can impact your job search. But if you can get a security clearance, that is a really great step. So stay tuned for more information on internships. If you attend that webinar on April 19th with Northrop Grumman, I'm sure they will be able to talk about that more. But for other roles, this is going to be particularly relevant for the tech, like more STEM roles. It depends on the field. I'd say cybersecurity and networking as two fields are the ones that we most commonly see advertising in their job ads a request for different certifications. Some of the more popular ones are through CompTIA, which is the industry association for IT professionals, Security Plus for cybersecurity roles, Network Plus for networking roles. We see those come up quite a bit. But there aren't any industry, like really formal industry recognized credentials for fields like software development and data management. And then data management in particular is a newer field, so we might not see a certification like that right away, but be on the lookout in case you may start to see that in the next couple of years.
Thank you, Lindsay. I think that's the only question we had come in today.
Okay, great. Well, thanks all for joining. I know sometimes it's hard to think of questions right off the bat, but again, we're here to be a resource. Please feel free to reach out to me if there's anything in the presentation you were hoping to learn a little bit more about and just need to generate some thoughts about it. And also bring those questions to the Credential Month events throughout April. We have a really great lineup, and we're excited to continue connecting with you and answering questions about what the regional job market looks like, but also how you can be better prepared through the digital tech credential to do so. Great to have all of you join us and tune in for the next event. We'll see you next time. Thanks.